City of Stevens Point Transportation Commission meeting, recorded August 12, 2024.
So it is 5 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order and start with roll call. You want to run that, Colin?
Yeah, Alder Schuda. Here. Carolyn Peterson.
Yeah.
Nicole Lisning.
Here.
Tom Bertram.
Present.
Neil Prendergast. Let's see, Neil on. Heidi Oberstadt.
Here.
Alder Burr.
Here.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get started then with approval of the June 2024 minutes. These were sent out last week. Any questions or comments?
Approved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Move to the next agenda item, which is approval of the June and July financial claims reports. They're also included in the packet sent out by Tom last week. Any questions or comments?
This looked pretty straightforward to me, but just wanted to make sure there was nothing out of the ordinary that you could let us know about, Tim.
The only thing I would say out of the ordinary is in our normal bills that say Stevens Point fuel, they say it's actually listed as payroll on the bottom. There should be a rather large payroll charge on June 6th, and that was the back pay for our employees that settled their union CBA. So that's the only thing that I would say is abnormal on this one. If that payroll charge was quite a bit larger than it normally is.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, then we can entertain a motion.
I can move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Heidi and a second by Allison. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote then. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, so that takes us to the next agenda item, which is approval to apply for the 2025-5310 grant. You want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these are grants we apply for every year, and we kind of come with the same motion every year. The operating funds our volunteer driver program. The mobility management funds part of our mobility management program, and then we apply for vehicles through this every year that technically the county will be purchasing it, but because we're a combined service purchasing the vehicles under the grant, because we're a combined service, this is the governing board of those services, but like I said, the local share for those vehicles, if we're awarded them, comes from the county. We don't get those vehicles every year. It's a pretty competitive grant, and it gets kind of spread out throughout the state. The more and more people that get involved in the volunteer operating and the mobility management, but straightforward, those same grants that we apply for every year. And I did put a link in along with the email on the agenda to the state's website that can give you more information on the grant if you need it, but I can answer any questions. Well,
Some of the people who I'm on another meeting with said that, when they applied for their 5310 grant, they were told that they had to like step it up their reason because there's more people applying this year, so not everyone will get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
is that something you did too, or?
yeah, absolutely. And we've heard the same thing over the last couple of years. And we stayed pretty competitive with it last year and, was able to get a similar level of funding than we have. So that's the plan this year too. I don't know, everything that's going on at that state level. And these grants do fund these programs, but not 100%. We use other public transportation funds as well as local share, to cover those. So either way, we'll be fine to cover the cost of the program, but, you know, that being said, if there was a big change with the grant, we would maybe look to do some changes 2026, 2027, but we could, you know, we'd have to kind of budget and figure things out, and it's hopefully, you know, the funding levels stay the same, but.
So has the county approved the grants already then?
So the county, TCC meeting is quarterly, and that's later this month. So, so it'll go to them as well, but this is really the vote that matters. In our agreement, the Transportation Commission's the lead agency on it. So this is the one that the state wants to see for applying for the grant that I include in our grant document.
So if we're approving before they approve, we should maybe know how much we're talking about applying for, right?
How much funding we're applying for?
I mean, all we know is we're applying for a 5310 grant, and like, it would be good for us to know how much money are we committing the county to, and what's the grant?
Sure,
So,
sure.
do we know that, or?
So, some of it depends on the level that the grants come back at, kind of how it gets budgeted. So the mobility management is 50% of the operating of our mobility management throughout the year. So all that means is we have to come up with 50% local share. So let's say we apply for $100,000, which it'll be around that amount for mobility management, and then they come back at a funding level of $25,000. Then we cover that $25,000 of local share, which isn't just straight up tax funding. That's also covered under the 8521 program that is applied for later in the year. So it's not quite as straightforward as this is the X amount that we're looking for. And we can even change the motion, but what the state is looking for is that for the grant, we posted it publicly and then gave people an opportunity to ask about it locally. That's in order for us to apply for the grant. So, and that could look like, you know, approval of public posting,
So we haven't posted yet?
right? This isn't approval of the grant application. This is approval to apply for the 8521
Yeah.
grant. If you do know what I mean.
5310.
5310. There's too many numbers.
Yeah. So then next month or the month after that, you'll give us an update on where we're at. with
Yeah, I
it,
can
right?
absolutely do that. No.
So again, we're not approving certain amounts, we're just saying, yes, please fill out the forms.
Mhm.
Well, does anybody else have any other questions before we get a motion? Just to make sure that we know what we're talking about. Okay, don't hear anything, so yes, I'm looking for a motion.
I so move move that, go ahead and apply for the grant. 310.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote then. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, so discussion and approval of fixed route changes.
Okay, I am going to. Okay, I am going to bring this up. So these are some, kind of a little bit more major changes than, adjustments to our normal route. So I wanted to bring them to them. It's just not adjustments around, you know, street closures or street changes, things like that. This, route change includes, the reversal of green. So green would flow the opposite direction. One of our most common requests, for changes on our routes was that reversal of green, mainly to service students and individuals using the Life Skills Center as well as SPASH, because North Point gets to be so busy, crossing the street is really hard. So we wanted to maintain the rest of our service. The timing will change a little bit on it, but pretty much everything will just move across the street. You'll see we'll still go north through Festival Foods. That's where our shelter is, and we'll maintain that. And then back downtown, High Rise will also, be on that return trip like it is currently, which that's a more major location, so service won't change there. So that is the changes on green. On orange, currently we come back by Aspirus Hospital and then go downtown for return. So with this new route that we've been running, we've been finding a couple things. A, it's a very fast route, so it's returning downtown well before the other buses. And there's not a lot of people catching it from Aspirus coming back, but there's a few reasons for that. One of them being our blue route goes by Aspirus on the way back, so people can catch that there. And then the yellow route also goes through the area a little further south here, and turns south on Michigan. So another one of our biggest requests is to get closer service to the Grove. Here is what they call it, and it's very difficult to want to adjust the service on our green route, because in order to get east and west here on Maria, you're going to add quite a bit of time. And this accomplishes that you keep your fast service out Stanley into Marshfield Clinic, and then on the return trip, this is pretty quick coming back on Maria, but then you can get that service and then catch everybody along 2nd Street here, which is also a pretty busy area on route, and then we maintain our request stop on the west side of town.
So you guys aren't concerned about the green road taking a left out onto North 2nd Street, given that we're putting in a roundabout? Aren't you guys putting in a roundabout at 2nd and, yeah?
You're talking about here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, I mean, anytime we like right, you know?
Yeah.
But anytime we take a left, there's some consideration there. Currently, we have a left at this roundabout here. I think a roundabout would help us.
Yeah, because that's being built this year, right? So how far down does the Splitter Island come? Does it go?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I do wonder if that's gonna block off on Walker there. But,
I mean, you already have the plan.
yeah.
It's pretty easy to check it.
Yeah, we can check those plans, but simply we'd either, this street, this Walker Street, service has been adjusted to these other streets, quite a few times in the last, 3-4 years, so I wouldn't consider that a major change. to come down another street as needed. But just when we do a major change like reversing route, we just try to maintain the location of our stops as much as we can and still make the change. So if we can go down Walker, we will, but if we can't because of that intersection, we'll either move it south. Okay.
I get why you're changing on North Point, changes the direction, and it totally makes sense. But what are you doing with the shelter? Is this across the street by Evergreen?
Yeah, so, the purple route will still service that shelter, with the and a lot of university students, right, and a lot of university students live over there. So another thing that this will accomplish is the green route and the purple route won't be going the same direction anymore, which makes a lot of sense for routing.
So is this something that was part of our transportation development plan, or, and where are we at in the process of that?
So the TDP, if you remember when we added, when we made the addition of Orange Route, like these changes aren't specifically in the TDP, but we are trying to follow the general, idea of it. So that TDP is 5 years old. So as the master plan for the city gets built and things like that, then we'll want to start looking at getting a new TDP made. So it is getting, we're getting to that time. But I think what we want to consider a lot is public input from our riders, our drivers, people that don't ride, and just trying to improve access to people working and things like that. So like I said, these are our most requested areas that we have going on, and as we've worked through these changes with our staff and gone over them with our drivers and collected input, I think this is the consensus on what we want to do.
Okay. Because the special ed teacher from Spash, she asked me, she's like, is there any way that we can get the bus change or get something, because those kids from Spash walking the life skills building to the thing, they cross that street, busy at the end of the day. She's like, is that just like a zoo? And I'm like, no, it is requested. I'm sure they'll consider it. She's like, do you know who I can talk to? So I love when I know names.
Yeah. Yep, and some individuals from CAP Services reached out, or DVR reached out on that change. And then, some other considerations, Division Street really is kind of a toss-up on which side of the street we pick up, east or west. When we pick up on the east, we get, suggestions to pick up on the west, and it'll be the same going the other way. But never easy to cross the street there, but we have businesses on both sides.
Okay, any further questions from the group? Okay, so then I guess we could entertain a motion to approve the changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the extra route changes.
Second, that's, I'll take it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Carolyn to approve and a second by
Dean.
Dean. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, those opposed? motion passes. So next up is staffing and ridership update.
Yeah, so, first with staffing update is, we did have 2 vacancies open up for driver positions this month and 2 vacancies filled. So, so that was pretty good. There's been kind of a couple guys, that have been waiting for the positions to open, which has been nice. They did get posted publicly, but, they had 2 qualified candidates, which was great. One retirement, and then, one decided to move on to a different job. But always, you know, always good to be full staffed, and we're not quite there. We still have training to do. One person's coming in with their CDL, and then the other one will train for their CDL, and we do all that in-house. In regards to ridership updates, let me see. Are you guys seeing those on the Zoom? Okay. So,
I still see the map.
Same.
how about now?
Yes.
Hit the share button. Okay, so, and I was going through these a little bit, a couple months ago with Tom, and, I thought this would be educational just to kind of see where our ridership is. So you'll see 3 years here, 2022, 2023, and 2024. And then this is our ridership by month. So it might look kind of like a crazy chart here because our ridership does differ quite a bit per month, but it's affected a lot by the season and by the university. So, if you see if you look at January, every year our ridership has grown, same in February. We were a little less this year in March than last year, but then, you'll see in June and July, we had a great year in 23, and the reason for that was the golf event. So that can kind of show you that public impact, of, it was that week that it was, but it was, otherwise, this would have been right here between the blue and the yellow. But, you see that end of June, and that event went through July 4th. So, on our normal trips that are usually around 8,000, or they were around 8,000 this year for ridership. We were up over 11,000 for that event, and probably had a few thousand to account for with that next month. But looking here, we're still seeing this good trend of growing year to year. We see the effects of special events, and we'll want to see this number kind of stay above the screen for the rest of the year, but I'm not going to predict the future. But yeah, up and down, but trending upwards, I believe that transit is. And this is all, we dropped to nothing over COVID. Our ridership really bottomed out, but I think this kind of lines up with national trends. So is there any questions on that? Great.
Thank you for the update.
Okay. That takes us to item number 7, which is the next meeting date. So we'll meet on September 9th at 5 p.m. That's a Sunday, right? Okay, then we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.